Hello, ghouls and goblins. Nick here. Hope everyone's doing well today. I am back with another book review. This time we're looking at Bone Chillers by Betsy Haynes, Book 3, Back to School. Alright, so after reading this book, I have to say, most of these kinds of middle grade horror, particularly like the Goosebump knockoffs from the 90s, every once in a while you'll get one that is, kind of creepy, that freaks you out more as an adult. Um, and I think also, like, will sort of touch on, like, a particular ick, I suppose, depending on who you are. Um, so I know, like, of course, there are people who are horrified of clowns. Those books probably come off as more scary. People who are afraid of spiders or insects, those books come off as more scary. But generally, these books, there's more humor. The main monster or bad guy generally more comical. Um, but this one, this one definitely was an ick for me, and I'm not super freaked out by bugs, but how this main villain was portrayed, and particularly what really got me, is something that this villain does in the book. Sort of the big game plan in the grand scheme of the book. Um, really, really got me. Always start with the cover. So we have the fly, looks like fly lunch lady. This is a Tim Jacobus cover, wonderful cover. The what she's stirring here, and kind of like the reflection of the green goo with all those bugs in it. I think I see like a couple spiders. I think they might all be I think they're all depicted as black widows because I see the red hourglass. But yeah, I think those are spiders. Pretty creepy. Would not want to eat that for sure. Um, this nice contrast with the like the purple with the red, this orange eyes, and then of course this tile up here I think is brilliant. How that accents very nicely, but you don't always see this in a Tim Jacobus, but this one I feel is particularly brilliant because it shows the unsuspecting kids, and it seems like in this scene they might be talking. Yeah, have you seen that new lunch lady? There's something off about her or something, and they're just talking like normal in a more happy or setting or normal setting, but then behind the scenes we got something, pun intended, cooking up that looks devious. um, and I love kind of like the stereotypical lunch lady kind of description here. The teeth of the bug is very scary, like her head coming out and being this fly creature. So very, very good monster cover there, and with the nice, background touches. It's kind of telling its own story. Quite love that. And of course, I love the drool from the teeth there, from the fly monster lunch lady. So very cool cover. Of course, this green blends very nicely, and of course the orange here go with these eyes and stuff. Of course, we are dealing with a book about insects, as the cover, sort of points out. It will be a bug book of some kind, and that green just works well with that overall vibe. So, A+ cover. Into the book, we have our main character, Fitz, short for Fitzgerald Traflon III, and he is starting back the school year at the middle school. I think they're like 12, age 12, 13 in this book. And he has his best friend Brian, who the story centers around. And we also have his friend Sarah, who has a crush on Fitz, which is a fun little humor thing there throughout the book. Her turning around and flirting with him, batting her eyes. And then we have Sarah's friend Lexi. She's allergic to everything, kind of in this book mapped as the stereotypical kind of nerdy girl. Sort of the main cast of characters we're focused on. And then this new school year, they have a new lunch lady. And this lunch lady is very eccentric. She wears sunglasses, and she has this odd necklace made of bugs. She's a bug enthusiast, and upon meeting her and seeing her, because kind of the beginning of the book, there's some talk about her from the other kids around school. And Brian's like, yeah, Fitz, wait till you meet her, you know, this eccentric lunch lady that likes bugs. And upon meeting her, even from the first kind of distance, Fitz thinks that her bug necklace is moving around. And we, first meet the lunch lady. Her name is Mrs. Larva Webb. And I love the name there. Very fitting. And she makes this wonderful lunch, much bigger helpings than the previous lunch lady or person that made the lunch. And she seems very, very nice, but like she geeks out about bugs and spills out all these bug facts, and even at some point in the book does a presentation about bugs to the students, which I'll get into in a minute because it's kind of a freaky part too. But they actually get off on the wrong foot, Mrs. Larva and Fitz. There is a cockroach that walks by, and of course Fitz thinks nothing of it, and ew, because it's a cockroach, and steps on it. And Mrs. Larva freaks out, saying, oh no, that was Gregory. You killed Gregory. And so she's very, mad at Fitz. And then I guess that kind of puts him off to her in terms of like her cooking. So he doesn't partake in the food right away like Brian and Sarah and the other kids in school. And Lexi can't eat the food because she's allergic, so she always has to bring her food, which is an interesting dynamic in the story. But yeah, at some point, we kind of see behind her glasses, she has like the eyes of a fly, as the cover might foreshadow there. And she has like all these tiny pupils in these eyes. And the Bone Chillers had a TV show, and one of the episodes is based off of this book, Back to School. And there's another kind of great depiction of Miss Larva with her bug eyes, which if I remember I'll insert it on screen somewhere to kind of help visualize her character there. But yeah, and then, she caught, like staring at Fitz and, with this kind of evil smile, almost kind of like she's getting revenge on him for what he did to Gregory, her cockroach. And at some point in the book, she makes a cake for Fitz. And she's like, yes, they have, she talks about ants and how you can eat ants and how some cultures do eat them. And how like the chocolate chips are, these ants covered in chocolate. And of course the teachers and students don't believe her. They think it's just one of her funny kind of quirks, but really there are ants in the cake. and no one really seems to notice but Lexi and Fitz. And but the cake is so good and her food is so good that, you know, it's the best cooking ever. And the kids in the school and the teachers are always eager to come back and eat more, which will turn into sort of what really made my skin crawl, gave me bone chillers in this book, is Miss Larva's big experiment, because she comes and shows them like it's like an after school assembly, talking more about bugs and things of that nature. And she pulls out these bug hybrids, and these are actually pretty terrifying. The first one she pulls out is a centipede. It's half centipede and half tarantula, even though tarantulas are not insects. There's like a little bit misinformation there, but still, nonetheless, here's this big, long centipede, and it's got, you know, furry spider feet and stuff, and ooh. And then she pulls out like half spider, half butterfly. So this butterfly with really long legs, and it's got like black and white wings, and so pretty eerie, you know, hybrid bugs. And she's going to show the next one, but, you know, gets interrupted. I think for the overall tone of this book and setting, it's very effective. I also think Mrs. Larva is a very good villain, we'll say, or monster in the book. I think Betsy Haynes handled her pretty well in the book. The only thing that is not in the book, and it's not really, it's just a very minor nitpick. I think it would have been fun to kind of see her go in and like secretly add like the bugs to the food, because there's bugs in all this food that she serves. And, you know, Fitz kind of catches her adding the food. But whenever he does like go into the kitchen early one morning to kind of confront her, because he knows what she is, and, you know, we see that throughout the book through Fitz's character and perspective. She blatantly shows him, you know, the caterpillars that she puts in the lasagna. And everyone's trying to get him to eat this food. And of course, there's so many second thoughts because, you know, there were ants in this cake and there are bugs in all the food kind of thing. Because Lexi even found, you know, realized, because she had taken some of the chocolate chips home and realized they were ants. We find out at the end, and at some point, Fitz does eat the lasagna when he goes to confront her, and she's dangling these little caterpillars in his face that she puts into the food. And it's just irresistible, just like it is to the other kids, just like his friend Brian. And then we see the big experiment where the kids, they start to develop lumps like on the sides of their bodies, and even the teachers, like one teacher has a lump on the side of her shoulder, which is pretty creepy. And then I hate this so much, but like whenever Fitz eats the lasagna and he gets his lump later, after we discover like Brian's lump and then the teacher's lump, and they think it kind of moves a little bit, it has kind of like a hive mind, like, you know, some bugs are, where it's like controlling them in their actions, so much so that Fitz and Brian get into a big fight sort of near the end of the book, because of these lumps that have developed. And there are like voices, and this is what really got me, there are voices that are whispering in Fitz's head, telling him, you know, what to do, and he can't resist Mrs. Larva's food. And it's just, ooh, it gets me. That's just, ooh. It was so unsettling. Like he's having nightmares, and they're saying soon, soon. Because essentially the children are cocoons, and these larvae, they are speaking to them as they are developing in their bodies. And of course, eventually they will hatch out when they become, you know, the next stage. and the and the kids will just be, you know, the leftover cocoon, which is horrifying. Like any time, like with parasites, which is what this is pretty much. Concepts like this, it just icks me out so much. But at the end of the book, and Lexi, of course, can't eat it, and so she doesn't have a lump. And so Lexi, Brian, and Fitz, you know, they at the end confront her finally, and they're trying to, you know, she like shuts the door behind them, and they're trying to get her to stop this, because you know they don't want to be cocoons for the bugs, of course. And then it's kind of foreshadowed earlier in the book. For some reason, Mrs. Larva, she does not like mustard and does not allow mustard in the cafeteria. And I don't know if there's anything like true about this or not, but the antidote basically is mustard. And it's so gross. Like, they find where the mustard is, where she has it hidden in the pantry, in the back of the kitchen, and like the larvae and their bodies are trying so much to get them to like not eat the mustard, but eventually, like through willpower, they do eat the mustard, and it's so gross. They vomit all the larvae out. It's so gross, and just how it depicts it. And you know, all these different color larvae that come out, and so essentially they're larva free now, and they have more control over their bodies. But then we notice that Mrs. Larva takes her final form, which is depicted here, where she has the head of a fly and she has the body of a cockroach. Very scary. And you know, she's like attacking them, and he's weak, but he grabs the mustard bottle, and as she's coming towards him and flying towards him in the air, he squeezes the mustard into her mouth, thus defeating her, because it's you know, the bug's kryptonite. And so, you know, at the end, you know, all is saved, and the twist isn't a traditional twist, but you know, the girl Sarah that I mentioned earlier, that's also Lexi's friend that has a crush on Fitz. And he's not really into it, not really into girls right now. But after going through this experience with Lexi, he's like, oh, I kind of like Lexi. So much so that he starts to develop a crush. And so it's kind of a fun, kind of sweet, you know, kid twist at the end. But there isn't anything, you know, not like a spooky twist, I guess, as probably one would prefer in these kinds of books. It was more of a happy twist, just like in her first book, it was more of a happy twist. Yeah, I liked it in terms of, you know, it did freak me out for a kid's book. I wouldn't say that I actually loved the book, though, but I did think that Mrs. Larva was a good villain and did have a pretty freaky metamorphosis at the end, so I'll give it that. And the characters were pretty solid, too. And just how the story flowed, I think it built up nicely, especially with the freaky events in between. From seeing, you know, Mrs. Larva's bug eyes to the lumps to the voices in Fitz's head, the larva speaking. So yeah, I definitely give it an 8, and it did chill my bones. So, which is they don't always do that, so that was nice. But yeah, so I give it an 8 out of 10. Have any of you read this? It's so crazy. And thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you in the next one. All right. Bye.